You're welcome to Deliberate. This is Joshua Jeremiah, your host. It's a great honor and a great privilege sharing God's word with you. We don't take it for granted. We give God all the praise and glory for this wonderful opportunity. We thank God for you as well, for taking the time to watch and to share these with as many as you know. Please continue to do that. Help us spread this everywhere. That way you can get to the ends of the earth, blessing, impacting, and transforming the lives of many to the glory of God in Jesus' mighty name. Always get to the roots of the problem. If you don't get to the roots, you could end up only treating the symptoms and not the very problems themselves. If the root is bad, the fruit will be bad. If the root of the tree is bad, the tree will be bad. And until you can solve it from the very roots, you will just end up just treating the leaves and thinking you have solved the issues, but you haven't. Matthew 7, verse 15 to 20 reads, "Beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves. You will know them by their fruit. Do men gather grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? Even so, every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. Every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A tree is good when its root is good. And when its root is good, its fruit will be good because the tree is good." And so if the roots of the tree are bad, the tree will be bad and its fruit will be bad. Verse 18, "A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. When the root of the tree is bad, the tree will be bad, and therefore the fruit it produces will be bad." Don't expect a bad tree whose root is bad to produce good fruit. It's not possible. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. And so it's important and essential that we always get to the roots of the problem. What's the core here? And then you tackle it and solve it from there. Or else you would only be treating the symptoms. You will only be cutting the branches of the tree and trimming the leaves and think you have solved the problem. No, it will just continue to persist and be there. There was famine in the land that persisted again and again. And after 3 years of persistent famine, David inquired of the Lord the cause of it. And that took him to the very root of the problem, and God showed him how to solve it from its root. 2 Samuel 21, verse 1 to 14. Now there was famine in the days of David for 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered. You know, David is one that is always inquiring of the Lord. What's this? What's going on? Why is this? And the Lord answered him, "It is because of Saul and his bloodthirsty house, because he killed the Gibeonites." You know, Saul, out of foolish zeal, woke up and decided to kill the Gibeonites. He said because they deceived the children of Israel to enter into a covenant with them. But they had already entered into the covenant. That was in the days of Joshua. And that covenant was binding, and they were not to kill them, but rather they had become their servants. So they had rights to protect them. But Saul got up and said, "Look, I will kill you people because you people deceived our forefathers." And so that was the root of this. When David inquired of the Lord, the persistent famine that lasted 3 years, the Lord told him, he said, "It's because of Saul and his bloodthirsty house, because he killed the Gibeonites." Verse 2. So the king called the Gibeonites and spoke to them. Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnants of the Amorites. The children of Israel had sworn protection to them, but Saul had sought to kill them in his zeal for the children of Israel and Judah, in his foolish zeal, I may add. Verse 3. Therefore David said to the Gibeonites, "What shall I do for you?" God told David the root of the problem. What's causing this persistent famine? This is it. And God said, this is how you must tackle it. And David said to the Gibeonites, "What shall I do for you? And with what shall I make atonement, that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord?" And the Gibeonites said to him, "We will have no silver or gold from Saul or from his house, nor shall you kill any man in Israel for us." For he said, Whatever you say, I will do for you. That's what David said. Then they answered the king, as for the man who consumed us and plotted against us, that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the territories of Israel, let 7 men of his descendants be delivered to us, that we may hang them before the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord chooses. And the king said, I will give them. So their request was, because this was the root of the problem. To stop it, he had to address the issue. He was a Gibeonite, so he called them. What should I do? What do you want? He said, will give us 7 men of the descendants of King Saul who tried to wipe us out. We will hang them, and that's okay for us. And then, David did that. He responded. Verse 7. But the king spared Mephibosheth. He took 7 of the descendants of Saul, gave them to the Gibeonites. He spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. So the king took Ammoni and Mephibosheth, the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, whom she brought to Saul, and the 5 sons of Milcah, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Bezaleel, the Meholite. I don't want to talk about this. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hung them on the hill before the Lord. So they fell, all 7 together, and were put to death in the day of harvest. In the first day, in the beginning of barley valley, in the beginning of barley harvest. Verse 7. Now Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, took sackcloth, spread it for herself on the rock from the beginning of the harvest until the late rains poured on them from heaven. And she did not allow the birds of the air to rest on them by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. And David was told that Rizpah, the daughter of Ai, the concubine of Saul, had done. Then David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead. You see, God led him, he was addressing the root of the persistent famine. One was that Saul had killed people he shouldn't. And so that had to be addressed. He addressed that. Then he also discovered, Saul and Jonathan his son had not been offered proper burial. And so David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead, who had stolen them from the street of Beth-shan, where the Philistines had hung them up after the Philistines had struck down Saul in Gilboa. So he brought up the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from there, and they gathered the bones of those who had been hanged. They buried the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son in the country of Benjamin in Zelah, in the tomb of Kish his father. So they performed all that the king had commanded. And after that, God heeded the prayer for the land. Can you see? God led them to trace the root of the problem. Hear me well. Until you get to the very bottom of it and you address it from there, you're not solving anything yet. And sometimes you have to seek God's face. What's the root of this? Why is this persistent? Why is this persistent situation just defying all solutions? Lord, show me what to do. The Lord will lead you and show you what you have to do. When you don't get to the roots of the problem and treat it from there, you will only be second guessing and beating about the bush. Stay before God for guidance. Lord, why is this? What is this? And show me, how do I go about it? And the Spirit of God will show you what to do accurately and will produce a turnaround immediately. God bless you and keep you till we meet again in Jesus' mighty name.